Eric DeGatti here from One Human Performance, and today we're here to talk about the active straight leg raise or single leg hip hinging. What we're going to work on is the ability for you to keep one leg into extension while the other leg is going into flexion, where it's going to help with your bending pattern, your hip hinging, as well as your stride pattern. Now we're going to show a progression that we're going to do supine on the floor, starting with the most basic stretch all the way to more active work. So we're going to start with just a basic strap stretch. We have Elaine here where she's going to take this strap and just place it around one leg. She's now going to take this strap and she's going to reel it in almost as if she's fishing. She's going to keep the other leg straight, so it's very important that she keeps this leg straight with the toes extended to the sky. This leg is going to be straight, and she's just going to lower it down and then dynamically bring it up. As she does, two things. One is she wants to do as much actively as she can and then use the band at the very end when she needs to. Two is I want to make sure she's breathing out. As soon as she stops breathing and holds her breath, the learning stops, and she's going to go into a fight or flight mode, which is the last thing we want when we're trying to create mobility. So she's going to inhale on the lowering and exhale as she comes up, trying to come up a little higher each time. All right, our next progression is going to be our single leg lowering progression. What we're going to do is we're going to put the strap around the foot, and I like to use an elastic band rather than a canvas strap because then we can modulate the tension, because I want her using as little tension as possible on this band because eventually we want it to go away. We're going to have her place it around the foot and grab with this hand with the elbow resting on the ground, as little pull as she needs, and then she's going to think of reaching this heel to the sky, or posting that leg is what we'll call it. The other leg is out straight with the toes pointed straight up and down, and everything is in that parallel sagittal plane. If she doesn't have the ability to get this leg onto the floor just yet, we can give her a bolster with a foam roller or some padding to give her that little bit of boost and give her a little help on the extended side if she doesn't have the range to get all the way to the floor yet. From there, we're going to ask her to raise that right leg, and when she does, we're going to give her a marker to tell her when to stop lifting the leg. If you put your fingertip right underneath that hook of the beginning of your hip bone in your ASIS, what you're going to do is when you lift that leg up, there's going to come a point where you're going to feel that fingertip sink down like a button. So if you raise that leg up, right about there, you're going to feel that fingertip sink in. What that means is your hips have run out of range, and if you go any further, you're going to see her hips roll back, and now she's run out of hip range of motion, and now she's going to start to posteriorly tilt and use her spine, which is what we don't want. So we're trying to differentiate and disassociate the hips versus the spine. So go ahead and lower back down. We're going to do everything on a 3 count. 1, 2, 3 up, 1, 2, 3 down. Now what we're going to add is I'm going to ask her to come up, find where your break point is, where that starts to sink in, stop. Now I want you to take one breath cycle, and as you breathe out, try to come up a little bit higher. Awesome. And then come back down under control without that tipping forward and holding that into place. The progression from here would be to take that roller away, and we create this complete 90-90 with the foot going all the way to the floor. The next variation we're going to show is not so much a progression as it is a lateralization, where we're going to try to trick the hips into getting more movement by creating a little bit of core engagement, and we're going to trick you into some core engagement by having her push down on a band. If I just had her extend her arms up like this, extend your arms up, and push down into me, that's going to create a little bit of core engagement. When that happens, the hamstrings will start to let go. There's a little bit of extra stability in the trunk and spine, which will allow the hips to move more freely. Knowing that we can create core engagement by pulling down, we're going to set up a band that's slightly above and behind her, where I'm going to ask her to pull down on the band to create some core engagement. By pushing away from me, she doesn't need to create a ton of tension, just enough to create some light stability that now she can raise one leg up, holding that tension, lower it back down, and then disengage. So it's 4 steps. It is engage, lift, lower, and then disengage. Our last progression is going to be active leg lowering, where now she's going to bring both knees into her chest, extend the legs to the sky, and without the assistance of a band, she's going to think of posting this heel up towards the sky. Now she's going to lower this leg down without letting the hips drop or bow out, and then lower all the way to the ground and bring it back up actively, and then alternating legs.